Hey guys, how's everything going? This is JSer, who is not good at algorithm, and I recorded this video to do the preparation for my job interview in June, which is from Facebook. And today it's not about algorithm; it's about a box model. I write CSS code every day, but maybe I have never really read the detailed document. Yeah, so I just write the code according to my knowledge, and box mod I heard of it, and I use the display flags, display block, display inline, and display inline block, flags. But really, if I was asked to to explain what box model is, I couldn't. So today I'll start reading the material from MDN about box models. Hope I could get a good understanding of it. So let's start. So the first one is everything in CSS is is a rectangle. Well, this is easy to understand. There are two types of box. The first one is block, which is display block, and there's another one is inline box, which is display inline. This is basically basic two types, and the elements have default box type like p and p tag and or div are block default to block, or and the span, strong, anchor are all default to inline, right? So what's the difference between these two box? The first one, the block box, will take up the whole width and start a new line, right? So that's what the box. They will be aligned vertically for the normal case. Well, right? It will be it will be rendered as a list from top to bottom. And for inline, it is not. The box will not break into the new line. It will just like a float like a float text, which was just rendered in one line. If it cannot be rendered in this one line, it will be wrapped and rendered in a new line. Yeah, so this is the biggest difference. And yeah, technically it says the block box will extend the inline direction to fill the space available in its container. In most cases, they will be wide as the container. Okay, and the width and height are respected. As we know, for inline, the width and height will not work. Okay, and the third difference is that the padding margin thing. The block box have all those properties and work, and inline box. I didn't know this before. I know padding, but I didn't know that margin actually is applied, and borders will apply, but it is valid, but it will not work as you expected. It will not push the other inline boxes to move away. You can assign it, but it doesn't work. Only horizontal padding, margin, and borders will apply, and cause the other inline box to move away. Okay, this will be addressed in the examples below. Okay, so this could be wow, this could be, yeah. And for flexbox, if you use display flags, the children in that element will be affected, right? If you use display flags and adjust content, just align items, the elements inside will not work as you expect them to. It will be affected by this flexbox. So that's called inline display types. Default, if you use the primitive display block, display inline, it was all about outer display types. But now flex grid, it will have some effects on the inner, so it is called inner display types. Okay. So this is example of basic block. This is a flex box, and this is a This is inline, but it was changed to block by display block. So it will work as if it is a div, but it's actually a span. Here's a span. Okay, so this is nothing strange. This is nothing strange. I would just tweak the CSS a little bit to see the padding margin thing about inline box. Like inline box here. Oh, there's one thing. It's about inline flex. It's less. If you choose flex, the inner type is the same, but it will work as a block box. So yeah, you could expect this. But if you use inline, it will work like this. So the container will work like inline. And about the span, I would say, you see, we can add border to span, but for padding, vertical padding, it works, right? Like pad, I would say 10 pixel. You see, the padding actually is applied, right? But it is not work as you expect it to. The padding will be applied to like when the border or something, but it will not push the things away. It will not yeah. You see that is overlapping the areas, right? So for this case, it is you could use display inline block. Oh yeah, this is to change the behavior. See the difference? So now the margin thing will work. Margin will work. Oh yeah, margin will work. But if you use default inline, it will not push the elements away. So margin is used to separate two elements. Remember that. So that's all for this basic examples. And so what is CSS model? CSS box model. Box model means we could use 4 property to define a box. One is not property, but a box contains 4 parts to define how it is rendered. From inner to outer, it will be content itself, and then the padding, and then the border, and the margin. Yeah, these 4 parts. The actual area of the box will actually without margin, but margin is, as we said, is used to separate the other box. So actually, it is contained in the area of the area that the box takes up in the canvas. So this is nothing special. So the default CSS box model will treat the width and height to content. Remember, this is the standard model. If you define height as 150 pixel, it means the content area is 150 pixel. But as we usually do in nowadays CSS development, we will use the box model, set box sizing to border box, right? This will actually make more sense because we want when we define the dimension, we usually means the whole visible part. In us, there is nothing called the visible line or border between the padding and the content. So yeah, this is, I think we all know this. Nothing special. So I'll skip, and now let's come to margin. What is margin? Yeah, the margin is an invisible space around the box. It pushes the element away from the box. Margins can have positive and negative values. We sometimes use negative margin to align elements to the vertically alignment. And the setting a negative margin will cause it to overlap with things on the other page. Yeah, this is minus margin. like we choose like margin this, right? And padding. This is right. Container padding box 220. Margin top. This is box. Okay. If we set 20 pixel. Okay. If you set minus, it will be like this, because padding is 20. If say 30, will go up. This is just like what we thought. And there's a strange case called margin collapsing. As we said, this is something makes me confused sometimes, right? Well, remember the margin is the space you define to separate them from another element, right? So what if the sibling elements all define the margin? Say, hey, I want to separate with you with 30 pixel. And the second one said, also, I want to separate from you with 20 pixel. So how we render it? I think they take this into consideration and implement the margin collapsing. And so, okay, since you both said we use 20 pixel, now let's use 20 pixel. That's the margin collapsing. Say, if two elements, the margin touches, both margin are positive, this will combine into one margin. Well, this is okay, remember this out. So this 30 pixel is from this one, and this margin top 31 is from this one. So the actual margin is 30 pixel. If one of them is 40, then so the larger one will be applied. What if there is minus? If some of them are minus, like minus 5, and the another one is like 10, you see that it's actually the sum of these two, right? It's just the sum of them up, and the margin applies. But what if both of them are minus? Like this is 10. You see, it doesn't change, right? If I change 1 or 15, but if it's over 15 is 20, okay, let's say 150, it will change. So when both are negative, it will work as the all positive ones, but with subtraction. So you can think that we will take the larger one with the more absolute value. Like for this case, okay, negative 10, negative 15. So okay, negative 15 will be applied. So this is the weird margin collapsing thing. There's a detailed page here, but we'll look upon that later. Borders, it's nothing special. Remember, the box sizing while changing how the border width works. Okay, the padding. So unlike margins, paddings cannot have negative values. Reasonable. And nothing special. The box model inline boxes. Well, as we said, the margin, padding, border are respected, but they do not change the relationship like this. If we change it to inline box, things will be changed, right? Display inline block. It's look like this. What if it's say margin 30? Yeah, it works. What if it's say display block? Well, this inside that will be in a new line. Yeah, looks pretty well. And using line block, blah blah blah, cool. Width and height will be respected in inline block. Yeah, of course. And yeah, that's all for the box model. Let's look into two details about the box collapsing. Well, for margin collapsing, there are a lot of several cases that margin collapsing will be applied. First one, adjacent siblings. The margins of adjacent siblings are collapsed. Wow, this is what we did before we tried here, right? Well, this is cool. And now there's another rule: no content separating parent and descendant. What does this mean? Well, let's try some real examples here. You see, the HTML structure for this one is: here is a paragraph, this is a div, and inside this div, there's a p tag. Okay, let's say for 3 is the p tag. I say the margin. Let's first set them all to 0. 1 margin bottom is 0. Well, this is the right. This is what it should look like, right? So now, remember that we are adding the margin to the p tag, not the div. If margin is 10 pixel, well, this is what 10 pixel look like, right? And then we margin bottom is 10 pixel. Okay, it's collapsing, even though they are not direct siblings, right? The margin is collapsed. But remember, there's a parent container div outside the second paragraph. Now, let's say if for these 2, right? What if 2 has a border? Oh, you see, there's a border there, right? And now the space will not be 10 pixel. It is not 11 pixel. It is 20 pixel plus this line. So this border actually disables margin collapsing. Without border, also we could use padding, like padding top. If it's 0 pixel, it means nothing visible there, so it will be collapsed. But if there is 1 pixel, look, it's not. It's just like the border. It's not 11 pixel. It's 21 pixel here now. Wow. So this is what that means. No content separating parent and descendant. Or there about the contents. If no padding, we could also add say there's something like this, like a content. Look, there is some content, so the margin no longer works. Collapsing no longer applies. So this really means the border collapsing is more of a like from the user's perspective. If there's something there, then the margin should be applied to this content. If there's a border, it should be applied to that border. If there's a padding, the margin should be applied to that margin, right? It's really about the box. You see, there will be another box here. So this is how it works. Empty blocks. So about say there's a content. What kind of content do you mean? If there's padding, but from my eye there's nothing there, right? It still works. So what if there's a div between them, like 4? Now we see if this element is empty, you see margin is collapsed. If it's empty, it means nothing visible. But if you say there is a height there, 1 pixel, then it is not. It will be treated as a new box and separating these two margin. So about the content, it means there are something taking up more than 1 pixel, right? You see, if the 4, the empty element, you can add as like 10 pixel, 20 pixel, above 20 pixel, and below 20 pixel. So what happens? It means above this empty element is 20 pixel, below it's 20 pixel. So total it's collapsed, so it's 20 pixel. But if there is something in it, like height is 1 pixel, then they are not collapsed, so it will be 41 pixel. Wow, so this is how the margin collapsing works. So about empty box, if there's no border, no padding, inline content height, anything like this, it will collapse. So there's a rule about what we said before about negative margin. When negative margin are involved, the size of the collapse margin, the sum of the largest positive margin and the smallest negative margin. When all margins are negative, the size of a collapse margin is the smallest margin. This is most negative margin. Alright, which means the biggest positive, but it is turned into negative. This applies to both adjacent elements and nested elements. Cool. So this is the margin thing and the box model. Now, next one is what? Next one is block and inline layout normal flow. Well, this nothing special. For block formatting context, which means a block will be aligned like vertically. This is block direction. This is inline direction. Basically, it's look like this, but for some other languages, written vertically, it will like this is block direction, and this is inline direction. All right. The margin between two block boxes are what creates separation between the elements. Yeah. Okay. Okay, by default, block elements will consume all the space. Well, it usually takes up like this, right? Here, from here to here. Okay, if we give them width, you will continue to lay out one below the other, but it will render, the width will be respected, but the right side cannot be used. Cool. Margin collapsing, it's already explained. And we don't tend to think of inline elements having a box, as with everything in CSS they do. These inline boxes are arranged one after another. If there is not enough space in the container box, for all the boxes, a box can for all of the boxes, a box can break into new one. The lines created are known as line boxes. Cool. So this is actually one inline box, but it was breaking into 3 line boxes. Cool. The line boxes in the block direction is defined by the tallest box inside of it. So this part actually expanded and push this inline box and this line box away. So that with that, this part of the inline line box is still also has this height. Well, you see, this become related to another property called the vertical align top, right? So yeah, you know what it does. Okay, display. Yeah, this nothing special. Oh yeah, that's all. So this is all for my videos about the box model. Hope it helps. From these 3 documents, it's actually not beyond my imagination about what the details are, but it actually how to say strengthened my understanding of it, especially for this part for inline box. Actually, paddings and margin and borders will apply, but will not cause the other inline box to move away. This is something I learned here, and well, box margin. Well, margin collapsing. Margin collapsing. There are some cases. So if there is something taking up more than 1 pixel between the margin, then the collapsing will not work. If not, they will work. So that's what I learned today, which is very good. So okay, that's all for this one. Hope it helps. See you next time. Bye bye.